Welcome to the first Indianapolis 500 Evolution video of Indy 500 month here on my channel. This is the final race of the 1962 National Championship season, the Milwaukee 200. And in the preparations for what will be a very historic 1963 season, I am going to give my Epperle chassis, the chassis that has run with me through the 1961 and most of the 1962 season, one final send-off. You can see the Epperle right there, and we are going to get in that car for going using the Watson Roadster for the final race of the year. I'm going to retire this car, I think, after this race, and then we're going to move on to a different chassis for the 1963 season, which you guys will see in the next video, not to spoil it. Milwaukee, I'm undefeated in this Let's Play at the Milwaukee Mile, and I'm hoping to stay undefeated. So this is Indianapolis 500 month, and let's head on to the Milwaukee Mile. So here we are, ready for qualifications. As you can see, Roger Ward is the first driver to go out. We are third in the championship right now. We don't have a chance of winning the championship. Parnelli Jones essentially has it locked up, but we can still take second in the championship from, I believe, Paul Russo, who is qualifying right now, who goes to, and no, it wasn't Paul Russo. I don't remember who it was. We can take second in the championship. We won the championship in our inaugural rookie season. A.J. Foyt takes his first pole. At least right now, he's on the pole position. Lloyd Ruby goes to third. But yeah, we're going to try for second in the championship, and Don Branson takes over the pole position. We've had a rivalry with him. Shorty Templeman goes to fourth. Johnny Boyd is next up to qualify. In fact, I think we may be the final car to qualify. No, we're not. We're down the order, though, quite a bit. There seems to be a lot of cars at this race, too. Usually Milwaukee has about 20 cars enter it, so it looks like there may be quite a few more. As Eddie Sachs goes to P2 with a 1:14.7. There's probably going to be a lot of lap traffic in this race, as there always is at Milwaukee. Obviously, a 1 mile oval is more or less a bull ring for these Indy cars, and wow, Chuck Holst goes to the pole position. It's kind of an unexpected driver up there. We haven't seen him at all during this Let's Play, I don't think. So Troy Ruttman to 14th, the 1952 Indianapolis 500 winner. Eddie Johnson, and then here comes a big number I'm expecting from Parnelli Jones. Is he going to put it on the pole position? Yes, he will. 1:15.6. The national champion Parnelli Jones laying down the hammer. Carlos Daltoni is going to be one of the lappers for sure at a 106 miles an hour. And then it's time for us to go out and qualify, so let's see if we can knock Parnelli off the pole. Alright, so heading out to qualify for the Milwaukee 200 here in the Epperle chassis for what I believe will be the final time. So a good send-off for this car is hopefully coming, and we will move on to 1963 with some good momentum here in the final race in 1962. Kind of forgot you have to downshift on this track. There would be a lot of shifting involved from fourth to third and back to fourth and down to third and all that whatnot. So down into turn number 1 for the first time, downshifting and keeping the car, trying to keep a nice decent line, a little bit of sliding through the corner on the exit into fourth gear, down the back straightaway. Gonna arc it into turn 3, see what the warm-up lap brings us. Third gear. On the throttle once again. Oh, maybe a little too early. There is some serious understeer off of turn 4, but we keep it off of the wall nicely. The warm-up lap is 1:17, so we are well above Parnelli Jones right now. But the problem is, usually I go faster on the warm-up than I do on the actual qualifying lap, so let's try not to do that this time by moving up into fourth gear here down the back straightaway. And going to arc it once again into turn number 3, down into third. Get a little bit of throttle going there. Get the back end sliding just a little bit too. And a little bit of front sliding as well. I don't know if this lap's going to be better or worse. Just a little bit worse. So into third gear. This is going to be a bad lap. But it doesn't matter. I mean, that 1:17 pretty easily puts us on the pole. So we are going to roll off 2 miles an hour faster than everybody else here at Milwaukee. Heck, I might be able to enter this Epperly at Milwaukee for a long time before the pole speed actually ends up anywhere close to 117 from the rest of the field. But we're coming off the corner and going to take the checker flag and a pole position here at Milwaukee. Yeah, no real surprise there. The Epperly chassis once again proves to be the strongest at Milwaukee. So let's take a look at the starting grid with me starting on the pole alongside of Parnelli Jones all the way down into 26th place for Carlos Daltoni. So 26 cars starting this race. I think that's a little bit more than generally starts at Milwaukee. So it's going to be a tight grid with lots of traffic. As you can see, a 11 mile an hour swing between my pole time and the slowest car in the field. So it is going to be pretty crazy. I think it's going to be, again, a lot of passing, a lot of traffic, and hopefully we can hold off Parnelli. So let's head to Milwaukee once again and start the race. Alright, here we go. Starting from the pole position, Chuck Hull's just behind, Parnelli Jones on the outside. The green is out.
The green flag is out and the race has begun.
And Bob Jenkins stole what I was about to say, but anyway, we are green at Milwaukee. We're staying right along the bottom of the circuit and keeping away from Parnelli, so immediately pulling out to a bit of a lead there on Mr. Jones, the national champion, as we pursue second place in the national championship. Don Branson has moved up into third in that orange Epperly, another car similar to mine, as we cross the start-finish line for the first time, completing the first lap. Once again down into third gear. We've already put a second on Jones, so that's excellente, exactly what we needed to be doing. Wow, we've got a really big lead actually right now. So just driving a really clean race. Going to come up to complete lap number 2 here, and I think we are going to set sail here at the Milwaukee Mile, starting our third of 50 laps. So completing lap number 10, we've pulled out 7 seconds on Parnelli Jones and are starting to approach the back of the field already. So like I said, there's going to be a lot of traffic to deal with in this race. 26 cars on the Milwaukee Mile. And again, back in these days in IndyCar racing, there was quite a spread between the fastest and the slowest cars in the field. So you're going to see very, very slow guys who we're coming up on right now. Carlos Daltoni, who is actually not a real driver. I've said this a few times before. He usually shows up at Milwaukee. I think he's one of the developers of the game. They couldn't license literally every IndyCar driver from the 60s. However, I'll give this game a ton of credit. They've licensed pretty much everybody they could possibly license. One of the people they couldn't license, though, is Jackie Stewart. When we get to the mid-60s, when Jackie Stewart comes over to run the Indianapolis 500, his driver's name is John Stewart. And the reason for that is, I believe Jackie Stewart doesn't allow his license to be used in any video games, period. I think Grand Prix Legends had this problem as well. The very famous Papyrus Racing sim of the 1966 or 67 Formula One season. I think they also had to use John Stewart or whoever their stand-in driver was. That's not the first evidence of drivers not licensing their likenesses to video games. Michael Andretti had the same kind of deal as Jackie Stewart did in the 90s, where he had an exclusive deal with EA, so every kart officially licensed game that came out pretty much didn't include Michael Andretti. So we're underneath Carlos Daltoni there, and we'll be around him pretty easily. Probably not the first time we'll lap him. If you look at the amount of laps we've completed and how many laps are remaining, you can predict that we'll probably lap him at least one more time, depending on how quickly he gets eaten up by the traffic. We've almost got 10 seconds on Parnelli Jones now. So we are just absolutely dominating this race. And you know what? I may not retire this Epperly chassis. We might be using this in the 63 Milwaukee races as well, because it's such a good car at this track. It just pulls away with the greatest of ease and makes it very user-friendly to be able to race this thing. So we're coming up on yet another lap car. I believe this one is Troy Ruttman. We'll have to see. I wasn't really paying much attention to the the running order there, but we'll see here in just a second who's running in 25th spot, because that's who we're about to lap. And we haven't gotten there yet. It's not Ruttman. Ruttman is in 24th right now. It's Jack Turner. I think this was one of the drivers we raced with at the Indianapolis 500. So Turner having a bit of a end of season slump, even though his car looks like it's smoking a little bit. So maybe he's had some contact out there on the track early on in the race. You can see actually the front of his car is a little bit askew. So maybe he's had some contact out there. So we get around Jack Turner with no problems. And we downshift once again into third gear. And we're coming up on the back of Troy Ruttman, who, like I mentioned in the starting grid, won the 1952 Indianapolis 500. And unfortunately kind of had some personal issues in his life, which kind of prevented him from becoming more of a multiple-time winner of the Indianapolis 500. So here he is at the back of the field, and we are about to lap him as well, pulling down into turn 3 once again. Pretty lackadaisical race for me, but of course one of the other times I've raced here at Milwaukee, I was pulling through lap traffic and there was absolutely monumental pile up ahead. Thankfully I made it through, so this race is far from over despite the fact that we are almost halfway through it. We got 10 seconds on Parnelli Jones, but now we're held up by lap traffic. Ruttman's also in an Epperle car. You can tell by the rear end of the car, very similar to mine. And we're still not there. It's hard to get around when there's two cars racing pretty hard there for position. Now we're going to drive around to the inside of both Ruttman and Russo there. Oh, and Russo is going to battle back on the outside, but we'll get around this time, I believe. Unless they sneak back to the inside, which they're not quite able to do. So we've cleared Paul Russo there and Troy Ruttman. And now set our sights further up the grid here to the light blue car, which I would assume is not the car that qualified just behind us in third, but it's very possible. I'm taking a look at the running order to try to see who that is. It's Alan Crow. Yeah, I think that is the car that qualified in third place. What on earth is he doing back here? Oh, that's unfortunate for him. Could have scored some pretty good championship points at the end of the season, but that qualifying effort is all for naught, as we're about to put a lap on him. I wonder if there was some kind of... there must have been some contact then. Further back in the field, as I almost made some contact and launched over his rear wheel. That would not have been good. Also underneath Bob Christie here. And make that pass. We've actually run a 118-mile-an-hour lap during this race. I just noticed that. It's a mile an hour faster than I was running in qualifying. So I managed to run a cleaner, faster lap in race conditions. Probably not in the traffic, though. But, boy howdy. That's one heck of a run right now we are having. Hopefully, again, this will be some good momentum heading into 1963 as we get in the draft of Bob Veith there. Not able to get around him just yet. Downshift into third. Try to hold the bottom here. And he's going to be a little bit difficult to overtake. Kind of blocked us down there. Now we go on to the inside of Veith. Can we get him into turn 3? Yes, we can. Maybe. Wash up the track just a little bit. I would say take the air off the front of his car, but these roadsters were not all that aerodynamically sensitive. They're pretty much bricks on wheels, but I think that's why a lot of people liked them. They're very simple design, simple race cars. And now we set off in pursuit of more lapped cars up there. Alright, coming up to lap some more cars. Chuck Rohde and somebody else in a blue car. Don't know exactly which car that is just yet. But we should be around Rohde pretty quickly here, if we can get around him. He's in a pink car, it appears. So yeah, pink car, very interesting, you know, as well as Eddie Johnson there in the blue car. Down to the inside with a dorsal fin. So I guess he's ready for Le Mans or F1 in 2017 with that gigantic dorsal fin. That was Eddie Johnson there. So now we're coming up behind this yellow car, and I think we'll be up on him pretty quickly as well. Wow, just look at how much more corner speed I have over this this yellow car here through the corner, and you can see how much lap traffic there is still to deal with up at the front. We're now 14 seconds ahead of Parnelli Jones, which is just a fantastic feeling, as Parnelli has had our number all year long. He won the Indianapolis 500, he's won the championship, so it's nice to lay the beat down on Parnelli, at least for just one race. And now we come up behind Johnny Boyd. And can we get around him? Get a little bit of that apron there. And Johnny Boyd's got a big old dorsal fin as well on his car. Not quite close enough to make that pass that time around. And slide to the inside. Can we get around? Yes, we can. Doing a little bit of dirt track in there. But of course, dirt tracks were a part of the national championship back in those days, so I guess it's appropriate to do. I don't even know how close we are. Okay, so we're coming up behind Lloyd Ruby, Roger McCluskey, and Jim McElreath. Those are the next few cars. And then there's another group of 4 up there. We're now 15 seconds out of Parnelli, so he's pretty clearly mired in traffic as well as we are. But we're just soldiering on here as I get really low off of turn 4. Get a good run off, and we're not really pulling away as quickly from that lap car as I would have thought we would be. Looks like they're really racing hard up here, these lap cars. It's going to be a group of about 7 cars we're going to have to come and pass here, as I shifted up a little too early that time. I think I was paying too much attention to the battling going on with all the lappers here, rather than my line and my shifting and all those things that you kind of need to pay attention to when you're driving a 150-mile-an-hour roadster. So here we come behind Lloyd Ruby, or coming up to Lloyd Ruby, slowly but surely, and now it's a group of 6 cars. The 2 cars kind of in the front of that group have managed to pull away, and they are really racing hard in this group. I think they've kind of realized the signboards have been out, the leader is behind, so you better get on it. You better stomp the accelerator, because if you don't, you're going to get lapped by the leader. So let's see if we can make some clean overtakes here in the traffic. Hopefully these guys don't screw up racing this hard. That's the other kind of concern I have, is that there'll be some contact and a car going upside down or spinning out or something. Well, maybe we should shift into 4th gear there. That would be advantageous. So we get down to the 3rd here. Try to get to the inside of Lloyd Ruby. Get it a little bit on the grass once again. Okay, now this is gonna be a bit touch and go here. You got to make your moves very smart here. Oh, actually, it's Daltoni who's actually holding them up. So they're actually lapping cars as I'm lapping cars. And it's just creating, it's essentially creating multi-class racing here. We've got 3 cars, 3 different speeds of cars, as I nearly made contact with, and that is a crash as McCluskey and Daltoni get together and spin. Just exactly what I expected to happen happened. And I can, oh, and Lloyd Ruby is driving a little bit aggressively there. Oh yeah, I forgot about this game. It does have AI that will get annoyed at you if you create problems for them. So I made contact with Lloyd Ruby, and Lloyd Ruby did not appreciate it. That was probably what that move was all about. So now, thankfully, there is no debris. Oh no, I just spoke way too soon. There's a car with missing a rear wheel there down at the pit lane entrance. So, oh boy. Thankfully, I wasn't caught up in that. Thankfully, it happened just as I was making the pass of Carlos Daltoni and Roger McCluskey. And now it's going to be a matter of, let's not have that happen again. Thank you very much. So you can hear the cars that were involved in the wreck. There's debris on the main straightaway I just missed. There's a couple, 3 cars in the pits there, as you probably saw, but if you didn't, I pointed it out for you. And now we're behind Jim McElreath, once again, with coming up to 10 laps to go. And a good run off of turn 2 there, down the back straightaway. A little bit to the outside, had to lock the brakes up because felt like McElreath was going to kind of slow up a little too much there. And I couldn't quite get that run off at turn 4 I quite like, but I'm still going to get alongside McElreath and pull around him. So we'll get around McElreath as well. Kind of slide through there. The tires are a little bit worn, to be honest with you, as you can probably, again, tell. And there was a car coming out of the pits, so it's going to be another car we're going to have to come by again. Not sure who it is. It's a white car, one of several in this race. Probably one of the cars I lapped just prior to the accident between Daltoni and McElreath. So now behind Dick Rathman. One of the guys we battled early on in the 1961 season. Has not been quite as competitive in 62. So it'll be interesting to see if he can be competitive in 63. We're 19 seconds ahead of Parnelli Jones now, so we are really laying the beat down on Parnelli. And now can we get around Rathman without too many problems? As you can see, just tons of traffic. There's just cars for days ahead, and Rathman's going to make things a little bit difficult. He's going to slide wide. That's going to allow me around. It was Eddie Sachs who came out of the pit, so Sachs is well behind the race now. Hopefully he will be nice to me as we go down here in turn 3. And he's swinging wide. And I'm also still just a little bit worried about those cars up ahead, that group of 3 that seem to be racing each other quite hard just ahead of this extra car we're coming up to right now, which may be A.J. Foyt. No, it's Chuck Rohde again. So we're lapping Rohde for a second time, at least on track. So I guess Rohde was involved in that accident as well. Lots and lots of cars involved in that accident. And they all happen to be white cars, so I couldn't tell who was who. And we're trying to get down to the inside there and get around Rohde. So now up to, looks like, Roger Ward. So wow, we are just really lapping some heavy hitters now. And Ward is way, way out of the groove. Please don't come down and hit me. Thank you, Roger Ward, the true professional there. Not taking me out. Actually, Jack Turner is one of the cars that's damaged that's driving around. He was one of the first cars we lapped along with Daltoni, so no wonder they've kind of been holding up the proceedings here. So I'd like to get around Turner quite quickly here, which we're able to do. Maybe also around Len Sutton, if we can do it. He's being a little bit difficult to pass. Maybe he'll swing wide. No, he won't. So maybe I can stick it down the inside. Yes, I can, off of turn number 2. And pull off another clean pass on Len Sutton. So we're back up here into more lappers. I know McCluskey's one of them. I can notice that yellow and white car is his, as Sutton makes a move down to the inside since I kind of screwed up into turn number 3. And we're up to almost 5 laps to go. I believe we are at 5 laps to go. I don't remember when the game starts counting down. I think it starts counting down at 4. So I think the next time by we'll see 4 laps to go on the board. Yeah, we still got 4 cars to pass here. And Bob Jenkins is talking about a wreck, and there is a wreck up here. Oh, it's a big one. It is a big one. There's a car upside down on the main straightaway. Another car riding up on top of it. An absolutely horrendous crash. A horrendous crash. Oh my lord. An absolutely spectacular accident. Many cars involved, including A.J. Foyt. Oh boy, howdy. Whew. That was a major crash. You can just hear the list of cars Bob Jenkins has to list off. Parnelli Jones actually made up 8 seconds on me, and there's more crashing here in turn 1. Oh, we gotta avoid all this debris. Holy cow, they're crashing still on the back straightaway. Cars in the grass. Oh boy, this is just insane. They're making more contact here. Jim Hurtubise and Eddie Johnson contact. The 27's out. Holy cow. There's nobody left. Where's the full course yellow? Okay, we need to be very careful here on these last 2 laps. We've got to survive now. You can just hear how many cars are involved in all of this calamity. Just an absolute shambles of a race here at the end. Parnelli's actually gained all the way back to 11 seconds, so he's cut the deficit in half in all of this chaos and confusion. Holy cow, look how many cars are in the pits. There's a car on fire in the pits, and the white flag is out. And Bob Jenkins still continues to list off drivers. He finally gets around to announcing that it's the final lap. And finally, he's not done. But we are going to be able to bring it home, I think, assuming there's not another major crash, in the lead and taking the final victory of the 1962 season for Indy 500 Evolution. What a crazy race, but we win it. So, taking the victory over Parnelli Jones by quite a ways, about half a lap. Let's take a look at all the drivers in the field. Several of them were out of the race, including Daltoni, Johnson, McCluskey, and Ruttman, I would imagine. What an incredible race. Wow. So let's head back and take a look at the final championship standings. So the final point standings are Parnelli Jones with a 52-point win total. Man, that was just a beatdown by him. I managed to sneak back into second place in the championship over Bobby Grimm and Chuck Holz. As you can see, A.J. Foyt was the final point scorer. 16 cars scored points, and just for novelty's sake, you can take a look at the entire rundown. Obviously, Trenton went to Jones. The Indy 500 went to Jones. I took the first Milwaukee race. Jones won Langhorne over me, and actually a fantastic duel. If you haven't watched that race, watch it. Bobby Grimm took Trenton, and I won the final Milwaukee race. So in 62 was the season of Parnelli, but 63 is going to be a very interesting season and very appropriate considering what's happening in the modern day, because 1963 was the British invasion, the beginning of it, with Jim Clark and the Lotus team along with Dan Gurney showing up with rear-engined Lotus Fords for the Indianapolis 500 and select races in the 1963 championship. Appropriate because, of course, Fernando Alonso is doing the same thing in modern day, skipping the Monaco Grand Prix to run for McLaren Honda in the Indianapolis 500. So it'll be an interesting history lesson as history begins to repeat itself once again. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube, and we'll see you in the 1963 championship of Indianapolis 500 Evolution.